There was a very nice Brahmin friend of Lord Krishna, whose name was Sudhama Vipra. As a perfect Brahmin, he was very elevated in transcendental knowledge, and because of his advanced knowledge, he was not at all attached to material enjoyment. Although the Brahmin friend of Lord Krishna was a householder, he was not busy accumulating wealth for a very comfortable living. Therefore, he was satisfied by the income which automatically came to him according to his destiny. Externally, he appeared to be very poor, because he had no rich dress and could not provide a very rich dress for his wife. And because their material condition was not very opulent, they were not even eating sufficiently. And thus, both he and his wife appeared to be very thin. The wife was not very anxious for her personal comfort, but she felt very concerned for her husband, who was such a pious Brahmin. She was trembling due to her weak health, and although she did not like to dictate to her husband, she spoke with great concern for his well-being.
My dear Lord, I know that Lord Krishna, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, is your personal friend. You are also a devotee of Lord Krishna, and he is always ready to help his devotee. Please, therefore, go to him. I am sure that he will immediately understand your impoverished position. You are also a householder, therefore without any money you are in a distressed condition. But as soon as he understands your position, he will certainly give you sufficient riches so that you can live very comfortably.
In this way, the wife of the Brahmin again and again requested, in great humility and submission, that he go to Lord Krishna. Sudhama Vipra thought that there was no need to ask any material benefit from Lord Sri Krishna, but he was induced by the repeated requests of his wife. Moreover, he was thinking about the possibility of actually seeing the Lord.
If I go there, I shall be able to see the Lord personally. Oh, that will be a great opportunity, even if I don't ask any material benefit from him.
He had no thought within his heart other than to see Krishna. So the Brahmin bade farewell to his wife and set out from his hut. And, after traveling for many days and nights, at last he reached the city of The roads and streets of the city were always crowded with elephants, horses, chariots, and infantry soldiers. The infantry soldiers passing on the streets were profusely decorated with golden ornaments, and horses and golden chariots plied along the streets. In the city there were as many as 900,000 great palaces, bedecked with jewels such as touchstone, sapphires, and emeralds, and the floors gave off a beautiful lustre. In all directions of Dwarka, wherever one would turn, his eyes would find green parks and gardens, and each one of them was filled with trees and plants laden with fruits and flowers. Because there were so many nice trees of fruits and flowers, all the sweetly chirping birds and buzzing bees joined together to make sweet vibrations. There were tanks and ponds full of blue and red lotus flowers, and some of these sites were filled with varieties of lilies. The city of Dwarka thus fully displayed all opulences. It was, of course, very difficult to enter the palaces of the king of the Yadu dynasty, but Brahmins were always allowed to visit. And when the Brahmin friend of Lord Krishna went there, he, along with other Brahmins, had to pass through 3 military encampments. In each camp there were very big gates, and he also had to pass through them. After the gates and the camps, there were 16,000 big palaces, the residential quarters of the 16,000 queens of Lord Krishna. The Brahmin entered one palace which was very gorgeously decorated. When he entered this beautiful palace, he felt he was swimming in the ocean of transcendental pleasure. He felt himself constantly diving and surfacing in that transcendental ocean. At that time, Lord Krishna was sitting on the bedstead of Queen Rukmini. Even from a considerable distance, he could see the Brahmin coming to his home, and he could recognize him as his friend. Lord Krishna immediately left his seat and came forward to receive his Brahmin friend, and upon reaching him, he embraced the Brahmin with his two beautiful arms. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental pleasure, and yet he himself felt great pleasure upon embracing the poor Brahmin, because he was meeting his very dear friend. Lord Krishna had him seated on his own bedstead and personally brought him all kinds of fruits and drinks to offer him, as is proper in receiving a worshipable guest. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme pure, but because he was playing the role of an ordinary human being, Krishna actually washed the Brahmin's feet, and, for his own purification, he sprinkled the water onto his head. It is said that when the residents of the palace saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead washing the feet of the poor, emaciated Brahmin, they became struck with great wonder at the humble attitude of the Lord. After thus offering him an adequate welcome, and after the Brahmin had taken food and drink, Lord Krishna said,
"My dear friend, it is a great fortune that you have come here. Now,
Lord
please,
Krishna was
tell me
engaged
all
for
that
a
has
long
happened to
time
you
in
since I
talking with
last
Sudhama
saw you.
Vipra about their
Many
past
years have
association.
passed since our boyhood association, so there
Just
must
to
be many
enjoy the
things
company
to
of
tell.
an old friend, Lord Krishna
dear
began to
friend,
smile
what have you
and
brought
addressed
for me?
Sudhama Vipra.
Has your wife given you some nice eatable for me? You must have brought some presentation for me from your home."
While he was addressing his friend, Lord Krishna was looking upon him and smiling with great love. Lord Krishna knew that Sudhama was hesitating to present some paltry morsels of chipped rice, which was actually unfit for Krishna's eating. The Lord, however, knew Sudhama's mind.
"Certainly I am not in need of anything, but if my devotee gives me something as an offering of love, even though it may be very insignificant, I accept it with great pleasure. On the other hand, if a person is not a devotee, even though he may offer me very valuable things, I do not like to accept them. Actually, I accept only things which are offered to me in devotion and love. Otherwise, however valuable the thing may be, I do not accept it. If my pure devotee offers me even the most insignificant things, a little flower, a little piece of leaf, or even a little water, that saturates the offering in devotional love, then not only do I gladly accept such an offering, but I eat it with great pleasure."
Krishna assured Sudhama Vipra that he would be very glad to accept even the most insignificant offering which he had brought from home. Yet, out of great shyness, Sudhama Vipra hesitated to present it to the Lord, and simply bowed his head. Lord Krishna, the Supersoul, knows everything within everyone's heart. He knows everyone's determination and everyone's want. He knew, therefore, the reason for Sudhama Vipra's coming to him. He knew that, driven by extreme poverty, he had come there at the request of his wife. Thinking of Sudhama as his very dear friend, he knew that Sudhama's love for him as a friend was never tainted by any desire for material benefit.
"Sudhama has not come asking anything from me, but being obliged by the request of his wife, he has come to see me just to please her. Therefore, I shall offer this pure-hearted Brahmin more material opulence than could be imagined even by the King of Heaven."
Suddenly, he snatched the bundle
What is
of chipped
this?
rice which was hanging on the shoulder of the poor Brahmin.
Dear friend, you have brought me some nice, palatable chipped rice. My dear Sudhama, I consider that this quantity of chipped rice will not only satisfy me, but will satisfy the whole creation.
It is to be understood from this statement that Krishna, being the original source of everything, is the root of the entire creation. As watering the root of a tree immediately distributes water to every part of the tree, so an offering made to Krishna, or any action done for Krishna, is to be considered the highest welfare work for everyone, because the benefit of such an offering is distributed throughout the creation. Love for Krishna becomes distributed to all living entities. While Lord Krishna was speaking to Sudhama Vipra, he ate one morsel of chipped rice from his bundle. And when he attempted to eat a second morsel, Rukmini Devi, who is the goddess of fortune herself, checked the Lord by catching hold of his hand.
My dear Lord, this one morsel of chipped rice is sufficient to cause him who offered it to become very opulent in this life, and to continue his opulence in the next life. You are so kind to your devotee that even this one morsel of chipped rice pleases you very greatly, and your pleasure assures the devotee opulence both in this life and in the next.
This indicates that when food is offered to Lord Krishna with love and devotion, and he is pleased and accepts it from his devotee, Rukmini Devi, the goddess of fortune, becomes so greatly obliged to the devotee that she has to go personally to the devotee's home to turn it into the most opulent home in the world. After spending the night in the palace of the Lord, Sudhama Vipra left the following morning. The learned Brahmin did not appear to have received anything substantial from Lord Krishna while he was at his palace, and yet he did not ask for anything from the Lord. He started for his home, thinking always about his reception by Krishna, and thus he became merged in transcendental bliss. Thinking in this way, the learned Brahmin gradually reached his own home. But on reaching there, he saw that everything had been wonderfully changed. He saw that in place of his old cottage, there were now huge palaces made of valuable stones and jewels. They were glittering like the sun and the moon in rays of fire. Not only were there big palaces, but at intervals there were beautifully decorated parks in which many beautiful men and women were strolling. In those parks, there were nice lakes full of lotus flowers and beautiful lilies, and there were flocks of multicolored birds. Seeing the wonderful conversion of his native place, the Brahmin began to think to himself,
How am I seeing all these wonderful changes? Does this place belong to me or to someone else? If it is the same place where I used to live, then how has it so wonderfully changed?
While the learned Brahmin was considering this, a group of beautiful men and women with features resembling those of the demigods, accompanied by musical chanters, approached to welcome him. All were singing auspicious songs. The wife of the Brahmin became very glad on hearing the tidings of her husband's arrival, and with great haste she also came out of the palace. The Brahmin's wife appeared so beautiful that it seemed as if the goddess of fortune herself had come to receive him. As soon as she saw her husband present before her, tears of joy